This is prima facie evidence, I'm telling you, Alex, that our government is covering for Russian war preparations. Just like our own government downplayed the threat of Hitler until it was actually upon them. That's why they give an annual report on China and they downplay the Chinese threat. They excuse the Chinese threat. They show concern. But there is no annual report whatsoever from the Pentagon about the Russian threat, which is far more advanced than the Chinese threat. Now, this is all a ruse about Russian economic weakness. Russia has tremendous reserves because of their oil power, and the oil price is coming back up. They're churning most of this in their command economy into weapons development, and that's one of the reasons why the domestic sector continues to be hurting, because they purposely want to maintain an image of weakness so that it becomes unbelievable to American analysts outside the Pentagon. The Pentagon are under an absolute gag order, and the CIA not to mention anything about the Russian threat. I've had insiders tell me that. We don't understand why they won't let us.
What are some of the targets?
Warn the American people. Well, they plan on targeting not civilian population centers, but only military targets. They don't want to be viewed as the bully of the world. They want to be viewed as we're taking down the bully of the world, the one who's intervening and causing havoc around the world, which is the U.S. under the Bush administration got that reputation. And that globalist agenda, by the way, will continue under Obama. Those who are listening, who are fans of Obama, need to understand. And there was an article put out by Glenn Greenwald in Salon.com that detailed all the betrayals of what Obama promised his supporters he would do, and he's following the Bush agenda on every single one of them. About 15 major things, from government secrecy to surveillance to unlimited detention through it just goes on, through lobbying. I mean, he's
Monsanto, for those of you that like to grow organic vegetables. He's in the agricultural head.
But he's gone against all of his promises. This man is a puppet. He made a deal. He started out as a leftist, if not a communist. He made a deal some 8 years ago with the globalists that they would give him political power and protect him and make him wealthy. I mean, that's why within a year and a half after that deal, he was able to afford a $1.5 million mansion, plus the Resco deal, essentially giving him the property next door at $6.5 million. 2 years after that, he was able to buy a $9 million property in Hawaii. Now, where does a person on a $40,000 community lawyer salary or a state senator salary get that kind of money? It doesn't. It comes through insider dealing, through making a deal with the globalists.
Well, what he's done is quadruple our debt, but he's not done yet. He's talking about a global bailout package. Well, he's been talking about this for some time, and Henry Kissinger says he'll be great for the development of the New World Order, and I guess that would be the Anglo-Saxon Western New World Order. So the question is, with this economic crash, which appears to clearly be by design, what happens after that? Because many other researchers that I've interviewed about the World War III scenario talk about both of those things being pretty close to one another. Economic crash and maybe some sort of a conflict after that, or something else transpiring.
Well, I do believe that this crash was engineered. Obviously, anybody who was inside on the system knew that the derivatives and the subprime mortgage securitization of loans was a Ponzi scheme. They knew that there was no way that anyone securitizing those debts. Securitized packages of debt means just that somebody's providing security. That's through derivative credit default swap contracts. Essentially, they were guaranteeing all of these, and that's why they were able to sell these packages to overseas countries, because AIG was guaranteeing these things, that Goldman Sachs was guaranteeing these things, which were powerful corporations with billions of dollars. Well, they'd actually paid out most of those billions in executive compensation, and they left nothing left to pay off these derivative contracts when they came due. Now, they knew that this was going to happen. You couldn't not know and be on the inside. But in essence, they continue to do so, knowing that they controlled the Federal Reserve, they controlled the Treasury. They always have insiders from the Federal Reserve as head of the Treasury. They knew that they could talk, if the crisis was severe enough, they could justify talking Congress into establishing a bailout, and they've done just that. What they haven't been able to get through bailout money, they've done through absolute monetary creation through the Federal Reserve. Now, I do not believe that nations fall economically. And nations who lose their moral compass, nations who become fat, dumb, and happy and ignorant through a controlled press, and get bore-sighted on the false economic solutions that are presented before them, ended up missing the great threat that's looming up behind their back, which ends up being war. And World War III is what the powers that be in this country will use to eliminate this debt. It's obvious they're spending with abandon. There's no way to pay off this debt. The total American indebtedness is over $50 trillion, counting all obligations that they owe, pension funds and all of the guarantees and the loans, over $50 trillion. You just can't pay it off.
We have 3 minutes left. Okay. Most of the people here know about, they're listening, watching, because we've been talking about this stuff, know something's about to happen and they can feel it. Some people think it's going to be even sooner, like something this year. We didn't get into this because we're out of time, but I'd love to talk more into personal relocation. You've been doing that for a couple decades. Here we are in Portland. We may not get hit, but we're in the big city. On the economic crash, we're going to have to deal with some other unravelings that follow after that. So police get laid off, and they've done a lot of martial law preparations that I've studied personally here in Portland. We have a couple minutes left. What are your recommendations?
Well, let me put it this way. The big threat is not economic. It's going to be hard, and we're not at the bottom yet. But I'll tell you, the big threat comes when a nuclear preemptive strike, even an EMP strike alone, would take this country down for a year to less than a third world country. And I'll tell you, all commerce stops once an EMP strike happens because the computers are fried. What's that going to do? It means instant social unrest. The grocery store shelves are cleared out. People are panicking. And people start to pillage. Even good people are forced to pillage because they have no choice. That's the big problem. Even though Portland is not a nuclear target, Portland is not, it's a safe area in that. In fact, most of the Oregon coast, clear down through the south, is safe from nuclear weapons except for a residual fallout that may come from Japan.
It's an idea for an indie film, Escape from Lake Oswego.
But the problem, Alex, the problem is social unrest.
Yeah.
The problem is being able to survive pillaging and panic, even among good people who just have not prepared. And so it's important, and that's why I wrote the book, Strategic Relocation, North American Guide to Safe Places, so that people could work on having alternative places to go to retreat to. Eastern Oregon is a great place, beyond the Cascades.
How about Central Oregon?
Central Oregon's excellent as well.
And
lots of places in Southern Oregon. So Oregon has a lot of good, safe, potential places, but one must prepare in advance.
Tell the audience about your website, what they'll find there.
WorldAffairsBrief.com showcases my weekly news analysis like we've been talking to. Lots of free stuff on that. There is a modest subscription price, and they can subscribe or get a free newsletter by emailing me at editor@worldaffairsbrief.com.
Well, Joel, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, Alex.
I appreciate it.